All right, y'all. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch this thing to make sure it stays recording or not because I'm driving. About to be driving, but haven't uploaded in a little bit. Thought I might as well. There's one thing I was thinking about that after doing the last video was the one about the 8-year anniversary of when this all began. And back then in 2016, so many things were happening so fast, it was hard to cover it. I mean, it's like, what else can I say? There's just so much stuff going on. Or what have I forgot to mention? Back then, it was like daily, just something bizarre was either happening like right around me, or I was discovering new things that I absolutely knew there's no way that this has always been that way, that sort of thing. And a lot of us, were doing that. A lot of us had the exact same experience. We're seeing the flip-flops. We're seeing things crazy. Now, for me, I mean, everything is just so stable now. I haven't seen not even personal glitches. I don't even see the personal glitches now. There's just nothing changing. But back then it was all the time. Now people that put out Mandela Effect videos, they do that still, and they say, 10 brand new Mandela Effects you've never heard of. All of these brand new Mandela Effects I've never heard of. They're always like repeats of stuff that we covered back in 2016 and 2017. I mean, I haven't seen one I've seen some that they say it's new and it's just something I'm so unfamiliar with I can't say one way or the other, but everything else is like, no, we've covered that one. We've covered all of these. Everything's been explored back in 2016 and 2017. Just feels like, to me, the world's just kind of stabilized. But the one thing that I hadn't really spoken about, and somebody mentioned it about a month ago, that I was like, yeah, that's true. That's one. I never brought it up as a Mandela effect because there were so many obvious, ones to talk about that were like flat out changes. But this was kind of one of the like side categories. Like, this is really odd. Back in 2015, before I even, knew anything about the Mandela effect, or 2016, it was late 2016 when I came on board. So I'd say it was earlier in that year or late 2015. I was noticing that there were all these movies coming out, and they were being presented like they were new releases. But I thought it was a marketing thing. I thought for some reason now movies are interested in like reselling themselves. Yeah, even after they've been released a year ago, they're just coming out again. I thought maybe they are just re-advertising it because it's going to DVD rather than theaters. I didn't know until I realized I came across these movies that are coming out all the time that were actually, this was the first time it was being released. And I knew that I'd seen ads for that movie in the past. I mean, it was just a very familiar, even if I didn't go see the movie, I was like, this movie came out a year ago, did it not? That was a thing that was going on too, and I never really stopped to explore why or how or what was going on with that. But a lot of people noticed that too. It was like we were on a timeline jump. Like if time was a record player groove, somebody bumped the needle and we just kind of got jostled around, and we were just seeing all these crazy things happen. Like the movies coming out that shouldn't have been. They'd already been released prior. And why things have, I mean, it's so weird too for me to say to people things have really settled down since 2019, because for the rest of the world things have not settled down at all. I mean, for us, 2016, 2017, 2018, the world was like total chaos because the world was literally, the reality was just shifting all over the place. And ever since that slowed down, we've had all these other crazy things that the world thinks is crazy, like the pandemics and the the wars and the economic crash, all this other crazy stuff. But the reality kind of slipping into one spot has stabilized quite a bit. So it's just a different way of looking at it, I suppose. But for me, this world with all of its craziness is stable. People really can't understand that are not Mandela affected. But this is far more stable than it was, and I actually enjoyed the chaos of when reality was glitching and going crazy. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was just amazing to see. It was so unlike anything I had experienced before, and it was an aspect of reality that I knew to be true, and such of a rare truth to know. It was amazing. But now, I don't know if it's just been taken away from me, if I've just settled into this one place, and all these goofy things are happening around the world. We got Milton that hit Florida last night, or was about to. I think it hit. Yeah, it hit last night. I had I know of people that are there. I know people that are not evacuating, and I'm very worried about them. Very worried about how they're doing right now. These hurricanes are insane, but the world's just in a bizarro place, and I tend to complain about it a lot, probably more than I should. I've got a pretty decent work situation now. It's not. I've been in far worse. This is, I've got no business to complain about anything. But that being said, yesterday was my employee evaluation, and those things always suck, don't they? I mean, it's like, you're working harder than anybody else out there in your position. You're giving them superior work, and you get an average. That just always irks me. So many politics and how your boss likes you, or a person in power, how they like you. It really comes down so much to that. I've only had it, I don't know, once or twice in my life where I had like the favor of the boss, and I was just like given the best evaluation and promoted real quickly. And then, I've had the opposite once, where one time I was actually given a 2. That's insulting. Between a 1 and a 5, instead of getting a 3, I got a 2. Man, that I think I gave my notice the next day. But those evaluations have been a life theme for me. I get really bothered by receiving, for one, BS criticisms, because they always feel the need to put a BS criticism, even if you're doing great and they got nothing. They've got to find something to criticize. They always present like, well, there's always something we can improve on. So they got to find something you can improve, even if the improvement thing is like totally not your fault, or you've been given no direction to do that. So my improvement goal from yesterday was that I need to get out to other sites, because I'm over more than just one. But I sit at the flagship, and it's the busiest, and that's where I've been told I need to be every day. Nobody has said, I want you to take 1 or 2 days and just explore other, because they never could. They're like somebody like me, somebody solid, has to be there every single day for whatever thing they deem to be a crisis. So that conversation happened, and I'm not gonna complain or fight. It's just not worth it. I've been down that path where you try and argue, and arguing doesn't do any good. It's just the way it is. Now, my boss, oddly enough, has got great favor with the people in power, and she has been promoted within just 9 months. She's been promoted to the next level. So I am not under consideration for the position she's leaving. I'm not considered a backfillable person. Of course, I realized that when she came in and she was trying to fire me and she put me on a PIP. I was like, well, once you get on a PIP, your chances of moving up are slim to none, because that's in your file forever. And whoever comes behind this person, even if I'm not terminated, whoever comes behind that person's going to read this 6 to 8 page long bashing of me, and they're just, it's always against you. But so I got an average, and I guess I should be thankful for just getting the average, but definitely not considered for the role that she was in before. Yet I'm her number one person that she leans on. I'm like the main person holding this place together, and there's no acknowledgement that there's no way she would have gotten promoted if somebody hadn't been very solid doing all this, work for her, so she could focus on other things that make herself shine. But the way so many leaders do, they just take credit for everything, and they take credit for the things that their employees have come up with. I mean, in the last year, this person, I know a lot about facilities. I've been doing facility management since I was 13, really. And this person has not. She's been a good administrative assistant. This is so common. She's been a good administrative assistant. So she's coordinated vendors. She's coordinated maintenance people. She's coordinated the activities of other people to get things done. And she's been real good about cracking the whip on her own employees and just really holding them accountable. That's the favorite line. She's been real good about, just being organized and strict. That's been her skill. And she can brag about herself. That's another corporate weasel trait that you've got to have really strong. You've got to know how to promote yourself in every situation and always brag. So she's been good with those things, but actually understanding a building, it's just not that strong. She's never done anything. She's never turned a wrench. She's never fixed anything. In the past year, I've had to help and consult her on actual facilities and repair. She didn't understand what a chiller is. She has no understanding of how air conditioning works. I've had to educate her and give her a quick lesson, even though it's not my job to teach her these things. I've had to teach her a little bit about how these things operate. She didn't understand anything about elevator systems in a complex building, so I'm educating her on that. She didn't know anything about she'd never heard of a J-box. Having to show her what a J-box is and what kind of things you'd use that for. Stuff like that. I mean, just the total lack of just practical hands-on skill is completely absent. But you don't need that to rise to the top, even in a world that's geared towards repair and maintenance. Even in that world, you don't need that to move up the ladder. In fact, the guys who are actually fixing everything, they don't move up the ladder, because if you promote them up into a role where they're not doing those things, well, who's going to do it? It's hard to find anybody that can do it. Hard to find anybody that does any of that. So I'm in a position where I'm a senior leader, and there's like 2 others that are out there, both female. The one that's in the building that's I don't know too much about the one in the east, but the other one that's in the building that's a little smaller than what I manage, she sits there. She's the same title. She doesn't get micromanaged just because she's a long ways away, but I know that she doesn't leave her desk. I mean, she physically can't leave her desk. She very overweight, cannot move around, needs knee surgery. She does not leave her desk. She has an abundance of maintenance engineer people where I do not. For some reason, she's got all of these engineers in her building. I've got like almost nothing, and they don't help. My engineers are not helpful. So many times I am the one who's having to change a lock or fix a toilet or fix a cabinet that's fallen apart. I'm the one who's doing the fix, or I'm coordinating a vendor to come out and do it because I don't have time, but especially if it's a little bigger. But I do all that. I inspect, physically walk the buildings. I get there at 5 a.m. Nobody does this. Nobody gets there at 5 a.m. I get there at 5 a.m. and I inspect the building before, it gets all busy. I work 12 hours, 5 days a week. Of course, you can see why I'm a little irked that I'm getting an average review. And nobody does this. And I did this of my own accord. I started coming in and doing all these things because, there's a lot to do, a lot to cover that don't have enough staff. And it quickly transitioned into an expectation. The first boss that I had, it wasn't an expectation. But when the new boss came in, she just automatically turned it into an expectation. It became part of my performance goals in my, planning my performance evaluation, that I would be there at 5 a.m. inspecting the entire building, the entire, a 1,000,000 square feet building every single day. And nobody else has that expectation. It's completely, jacked up. And I don't know if it's age discrimination or what category it falls in, but I'm definitely not treated the same as others. And I'm way more experienced and quite a bit older than everybody else. I mean, she's 16 years younger than me. And she's old, actually, because the people under her are in their 20s. And she likes to buddy up with them. And yet they call out sick all the time. They don't do any physical work. They only work about 7 hours a day. And that's okay with her. And she encourages, okay, now I'm gone into full-blown rant here. She encourages them to come directly to her for everything rather than to me. So she's inserted herself in such a way where I have no authority over these people to say anything. She's established herself as the go-to for everything because she micromanages. And then when I've even told them to do things, she's undone that because she didn't agree, because we have different styles. She's undone what I've told them. So she's completely wiped out my authority. And when I first got there, and she may still do it to this day, I don't know, she's gossiped. She gossips about me. She will call them directly on their phone and encourage her to call her directly on her phone all the time, even on the weekends. This is the kind of thing that totally undermines any authority I have over them. And yet in my review, she tells me that she wants me to have a more active role in managing them. I just want to laugh. I'm like, how do I manage these people when you've just gone around me in every turn? If I can't even imagine doing that with her boss. I can't imagine going around my boss, calling my boss's boss directly all the time, talking about them. I can't fathom that. I can't fathom her boss even allowing that situation because it's very unprofessional. I can't see where her boss is very professional. She would never just start contacting me directly and going around my direct person that's above me. She would never do that. But I don't know. This is a theme. I had this terrible a few years ago with one situation where there was some sort of an affair going on. That, bugged the heck out of me. And that didn't last, 3 months. But I don't know. A little jaded from these employee evaluations and how employers just demand. You start doing something voluntarily that's going the extra mile, like Jesus said to do in the Bible. Do it cheerfully. Go the extra mile. Don't complain. Do your work as if for the Lord, not for this mofo in front of you. But at the same time, you do that. This is the way it works. You do that. You go the extra mile. You do things that are not in your job description and have not been asked of you before. You do things far and above what your peers are doing. And rather than getting any thanks for it, these weasels, they just make it part of your job. Like it's now an expectation. This is what you do. We call it scope creep. When you start doing work that's outside of your job description and just start taking on all these tasks that aren't your tasks to begin with, that's scope creep. And pretty soon you're doing all this stupid stuff that's not even your job description. You don't have time to do your job anymore. And that's a real problem out there. I'd love to sit down with Jesus and explain this to them. This is what happens in this world. You can't do your job anymore because you're doing all these stupid things that these complete imbeciles don't even understand. That's not your job, and they put that on you. I should re-record this because I started out trying to make a Mandela Effect video about the movies flipping around, and I've just turned it into a rant about corporate America and the workplace. But I guess that's where my mind is. Other than that, what's my phone doing? It's probably shut off. This thing is probably not going to record anyway. I can see its screen's gone blank. Hard to look at the phone while you're driving. Let's see, is it still recording? I guess it is, yeah. All right, so let me pause for a second. So I have just passively been looking and seeing what kind of jobs are out there. Just see what positions are being advertised and what the pay is. And I can't complain too much because I am making a decent wage, particularly for this job, for the job that I do. And it's a little disheartening because I just don't know how people are surviving with this runaway inflation. Things are costing twice as much as what they used to just a few years ago. And I'm doing, better than I was only by taking this role, but being unappreciated makes you want to look around. So I've looked around at a lot of possibilities, and I've come across a few jobs that are completely bogus. They're advertising just to make it look like their company's doing better than what they are, but they're not real jobs. But it's hard to just jump out. It's also hard to leave. One of the reasons I'm making more than I should is because I'm working for the Illuminati people, the people who run the world. I'm working for these huge financial institutions that own everything, and they've got more money than they know what to do with. It's stupid money, and that's why they can pay better. But I work around so many entitled people. They've got these jobs. I mean, they're making right above me. The people that I answer to, they're making $200,000-$300,000 a year. And the people that are above them even, and they're all around me, they're making millions of dollars a year. It's just insane, the money that I see. And it's crazy to see. I see a lot of people that are in regional roles, and they're making a couple $100,000 a year, and they don't even come into the office. They don't work. Nobody's holding them accountable. They don't have the kind of boss I have, and they get away with it. I just see so many people coasting, making crazy incomes, and I guess that's another point that makes me sore. But I also know you just don't see, unless you're working for these evil bastards, you just don't get that kind of pay. Most companies can't offer that. And as I'm driving at 4:50 a.m., I'm behind another ghost driver where their front lights are on, their day runner lights are on, but there's no tail lights. It's a good thing I'm in the city where there's plenty of light. But I come across these guys like every day. There's 2 or 3 of these people driving, and they can't figure out that their lights are not fully on. And I'm sick of the way they're overpowering lights now too. Why is it in this world everybody's got to have the brightest dang lights that just blind you? I just miss the old days where you just have yellow headlights and I didn't have to worry about wearing sunglasses while it's pitch black. And while I'm on the topic of cars, I also see those stupid cyber trucks. I see a few every day. I don't understand the person that's dumb enough to buy one of those things. Elon Musk should be hung for introducing that terrible vehicle to the world. It's absolutely stupid. People are stupid for buying it. Elon Musk is stupid for putting it out there. It's just a dumb vehicle. And I see them every day. Every day I'm driving past those things. I don't know what this world's just so messed up, and it's just so stupid. That being said, I'm taking vacation starting tomorrow. I'm going to be off Friday, and I'm going to be off all next week. And I'm going to try and get some work done at the other house because I got screwed over there pretty bad, and I need to start getting some work done. And I've also got to watch the kids because for some reason my kids don't have school. I don't understand why at this time of year they're off for a whole week. Like, makes no sense. I don't get it. But I've got to be at home with them because even though they're old enough that they should be able to stay at home, they're both special needs. You know, I adopted them and they're special needs kids. They got issues. I can't just leave them at home. I got to stay with them. You know, the 14-year-old with Down syndrome and the 10-year-old is special ed, and it's just, it wouldn't be a good thing. So maybe I'll drag them along and have them, I don't know, around me while I work on the house. I hired a handyman. Handyman came in, said he was going to do all this work smoothing out the ceilings because I scraped all that popcorn off, but it still needed mud and sanding and painting, and there's some high paint. All the wood, all the doors and baseboards needed to be painted too. So I had that going on. I was gonna do all this painting. This guy was gonna charge me $5,000 to do it. He said he was gonna spend maybe 3 nights there because he's driving from Dallas and knock a good bit of it out. So the guy moves in. He squats for 3 weeks. He does hardly any work. And long story short, just to get him to go, I paid him the rest of it. And then in addition to all the other crap that he got out of me and stole out of the house, he got about $6,000 out of me and did very little work. So I'm going to go in and start trying to do the work that I was paying him to do because he didn't do it, and go from there. So it's been just been a lovely time. I'll be so glad to get that house sold and done with. I'm really sick and tired of all that work, and we'll see. Of course, the economy will just, right after I sell it, the economy is going to crash and government's going to come take any profit I have on it anyway, I suppose. But it'll be nice to have that thing done. It'd be really nice to be able to retire, but not in a situation to do that. You also, you know, you kind of need medical benefits. That's another tough thing about retiring. So you just don't have the medical benefits. But people are driving crazy this morning, so I better wrap this up or I'm going to get myself killed. I mean, it's like NASCAR. But all right, y'all have a good day. God bless.